India is a country of over 1 billion people, with diverse cultures, languages, and religions. With such a vast population, maintaining law and order is a daunting task. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the Indian government's efforts to maintain law and order and ensure the safety of its citizens. Hello everyone, my name is Kishan Rabdiya and you are watching the Inside India Politics channel. Hello everyone, I'm Inspector Sharma, and I'm here to talk about the law and order situation in India. As you know, India has a robust police force that is responsible for maintaining law and order, preventing and investigating crimes, and ensuring the safety of citizens. The police force is divided into various departments, including the local police, state police, and central police forces. In addition to the police, the Indian government also employs several paramilitary forces, such as the Border Security Force and the Central Reserve Police Force. These forces are primarily responsible for safeguarding the country's borders and maintaining internal security. The Indian Armed Forces, comprising the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force, are responsible for national defense and protecting the sovereignty of the country. The Indian government has also established various statutory bodies to ensure the smooth functioning of the law and order system, including the National Human Rights Commission, Central Bureau of Investigation, National Investigation Agency, and the Bureau of Police Research and Development. In addition to these agencies, the Indian government has enacted various laws and regulations to maintain law and order, such as the Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code, and Indian Evidence Act, among others. The judiciary, comprising the Supreme Court, High Courts, and subordinate courts, plays a crucial role in enforcing these laws and ensuring justice is delivered to the citizens of India. I feel safe knowing that the government is doing everything in its power to maintain law and order. It's comforting to know that there are so many agencies working together to ensure our safety and security. As you know, India has a robust police force that is responsible for maintaining law and order, preventing and investigating crimes, and ensuring the safety of citizens. Each department has its own responsibilities and jurisdiction, and they work together to maintain law and order across the country. Senior Police Officer. The police force is constantly adapting to changing situations and challenges. We have specialized units such as the Anti-Terrorism Squad, Cybercrime Investigation Cell, and the Women's Cell to deal with specific types of crime. In addition to the police, the Indian government also employs several paramilitary forces, such as the Border Security Force and the Central Reserve Police Force. These forces are responsible for maintaining security in sensitive areas, such as the borders with neighboring countries, and dealing with situations that require the use of force. Paramilitary Force Officer. Our job is to ensure that the country's borders are secure and that no unwanted elements can enter the country. We work closely with the local police and other law enforcement agencies to maintain law and order and ensure the safety of citizens. The Indian Armed Forces are responsible for national defense and protecting the sovereignty of the country. They are equipped with state-of-the-art weapons and technology to deal with any threats to national security. Indian Armed Forces member. Our job is to protect the country from any external threats. We are always ready to take on any challenges and protect our citizens. The Indian government has also established various statutory bodies to ensure the smooth functioning of the law and order system. These bodies have the power to investigate complaints of human rights violations and take appropriate action. National Human Rights Commission member. Our job is to ensure that the human rights of citizens are protected. We investigate complaints of human rights violations and take appropriate action against those responsible. In addition to these agencies, the Indian government has enacted various laws and regulations to maintain law and order. The judiciary plays a crucial role in enforcing these laws and ensuring justice is delivered to the citizens of India. The judiciary is an essential part of the law and order system. It ensures that justice is served, and those responsible for crimes are held accountable for their actions. India is a rapidly developing country, with a rich cultural heritage and a thriving economy. However, with a population of over 1 billion people, maintaining law and order can be a daunting task. Senior Police Officer. India is a vast country with diverse cultures and languages. One of the biggest challenges we face is the lack of resources and manpower. We need more officers to police the streets and prevent crimes from happening. The police force in India is severely understaffed, with many officers working long hours without adequate rest. This leads to burnout and can impact the quality of policing. Social activist. Another challenge is the lack of trust between citizens and the police. Many people are reluctant to approach the police when they need help, fearing harassment or mistreatment. There have been several instances of police brutality and corruption in India, which have eroded public trust in the police force. Interview with a government official. Government official. The Indian government is aware of these challenges and is taking steps to address them. We have launched several initiatives to modernize the police force, increase the number of officers, and improve training. The government is investing in modern technology and equipment to help the police force better handle crimes and emergencies. Cut to an interview with a technology expert. Technology expert: we are developing new technologies like facial recognition and predictive policing to help the police force prevent crimes before they happen. Government is also emphasizing community policing initiatives to build trust between citizens and the police force. Community leader: the police force needs to work closely with the community and gain their trust. We need to create a safe environment where people feel comfortable approaching the police when they need help. Police officer: we are committed to serving the people of India and ensuring their safety. We know that there is a lot of work to be done, but we are confident that with the support of the government and the community, we can overcome these challenges. Police brutality has been a long-standing issue in India, with several high-profile cases making headlines in recent years. Human rights activist: police brutality is a violation of human rights and can have severe consequences for the victims and their families. It erodes trust in the police force and can lead to a breakdown of law and order. Victim of police brutality: I was beaten and tortured by the police for no reason. They accused me of a crime I didn't commit and forced me to confess. It was a traumatic experience that I will never forget. Lawyer: police brutality is a widespread problem in India, and it is often fueled by a lack of accountability and impunity. Many police officers believe they can act with impunity and get away with it. However, there have been some instances of police officers being held accountable for their actions. Police official: the police force in India is committed to upholding the law and protecting citizens' rights. We do not tolerate any form of police brutality and take strict action against those found guilty. The Indian government is taking steps to address police brutality by implementing training programs and improving accountability measures. Government official: we are working to strengthen the justice system and ensure that police officers who engage in brutality are held accountable. We are also working to improve the training and education of police officers to prevent such incidents from happening in the first place. Community outreach programs are also being implemented to build trust between citizens and the police force. Community leader: we need to work together to address police brutality and ensure that everyone's rights are protected. The police force needs to work closely with the community to build trust and prevent such incidents from happening. According to the National Crime Records Bureau, the total number of crimes reported in India has been declining steadily over the past decade. Law enforcement official: this is a positive trend that reflects the efforts of law enforcement agencies across the country. We have been working hard to prevent and detect crime, and to ensure that justice is served. However, India still faces significant challenges in terms of law enforcement capacity. Criminologist: one of the major challenges is the shortage of police personnel. India has only 144 police personnel per 100,000 people, which is lower than many other countries. Lawyer: the conviction rate in India is only about 27%. This means that many criminals are not brought to justice, which undermines public trust in the justice system. The high number of pending cases in Indian courts is another challenge. Judge: there are over 4 crores, 40 million, cases pending in Indian courts, which is a huge burden on the justice system. This can lead to delays and a lack of access to justice for many people. Finally, India also faces a gender imbalance in its law enforcement agencies. Women's rights activist: women make up only about 7% of the police force in India. This can make it difficult for women to access justice, especially in cases of gender-based violence. One of the most pressing challenges facing law enforcement in India is dealing with mob violence and lynching incidents. Interview with a human rights activist. Human rights activist: in recent years, India has seen a rise in incidents of mob violence, often targeting marginalized communities. These incidents can have a devastating impact on the victims and their families. According to data from India Spend, there were 97 incidents of mob lynching in India between 2012 and 2019, resulting in the deaths of 40 people. Interview with a journalist. Journalist: these incidents are often fueled by rumors and misinformation spread on social media. It's important for law enforcement agencies to act swiftly to prevent these incidents and bring the perpetrators to justice. Another challenge facing law enforcement in India is corruption. Interview with an anti-corruption activist. Anti-corruption activist: corruption is a pervasive problem in India, and it can undermine public trust in law enforcement agencies. It's important for law enforcement agencies to have strong internal mechanisms to prevent corruption and hold corrupt officers accountable. One controversial tactic used by some law enforcement agencies in India is the use of encounters, where suspects are killed in police custody. Interview with a human rights lawyer. Human rights lawyer. While encounters can sometimes be justified in cases of self-defense or the defense of others, there have been concerns about the excessive use of force by law enforcement agencies. It's important for law enforcement agencies to ensure that encounters are conducted in accordance with the law and human rights principles. Crime is a complex and multifaceted issue, and understanding crime trends is essential for effective law enforcement in India. According to the National Crime Records Bureau, theft and burglary are the most commonly reported crimes in India, followed by violence against women and economic offences. Interview with a criminologist. Criminologist. The high prevalence of property crimes in India can be attributed to factors such as poverty, lack of social mobility, and weak law enforcement capacity. Crime rates in India also vary significantly by region. Interview with a police officer. Police officer. In urban areas, crimes such as theft and robbery are more common, while in rural areas, crimes such as land disputes and cattle theft are more prevalent. There is also a strong correlation between crime rates and unemployment rates in India. Interview with an economist. Economist. Unemployment can lead to frustration and desperation, which can increase the likelihood of criminal behavior. It's important for the government to create jobs and provide opportunities for young people, particularly in rural areas. Poverty is also a significant factor that contributes to crime in India. Interview with a social worker. Social worker. Poverty can lead to social exclusion, lack of education and healthcare, and a sense of hopelessness, which can contribute to criminal behavior. It's important for the government to invest in poverty reduction programs and social welfare initiatives. Finally, there is a strong correlation between crime rates and literacy rates in India. Interview with an educationist. Education can improve employment opportunities, reduce poverty, and promote social inclusion, which can all contribute to reducing crime rates. It's important for the government to prioritize education and ensure access to quality education for all. Interview with a women's rights activist. Women's rights activist. Violence against women is a pervasive problem in India, and it can have devastating physical, emotional, and psychological impacts on survivors. It's important for the government to take strong action to prevent violence and ensure justice for survivors. Sexual harassment is another major challenge facing women in India, with a survey by ActionAid India revealing that 79% of women in Delhi feel unsafe in public spaces. Interview with a lawyer. Lawyer. Sexual harassment can have a profound impact on a woman's sense of safety and well-being, and it can also limit women's access to education, work, and public life. It's important for society as a whole to recognize and address the issue of sexual harassment. The gender gap in education and employment is another factor that contributes to women's vulnerability in India. Interview with an educator. Educator. Education and employment can provide women with the skills, knowledge, and financial independence they need to assert their rights and protect themselves from violence. It's important for the government to prioritize gender equality in education and employment policies. With a child rights activist. Child rights activist. Child marriage can perpetuate gender inequality, limit girls' access to education and healthcare, and increase their risk of domestic violence and other forms of abuse. It's important for the government to enforce laws prohibiting child marriage and promote girls' education and empowerment. Mental health is an important but often overlooked issue in India, where millions of people suffer from mental illnesses but face stigma, discrimination, and inadequate access to treatment. In this video, we'll explore the state of mental health in India, and highlight some key facts and figures. According to the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, approximately 150 million people in India suffer from mental illnesses, with depression and anxiety disorders being the most common. Interview with a mental health expert. Mental health expert. Mental illnesses can have a profound impact on a person's life, affecting their relationships, work, and daily functioning. It's important for society to recognize the importance of mental health and to provide adequate resources and support for those who are struggling. Despite the high prevalence of mental illness in India, the country has a severe shortage of mental health professionals, with only 0.29 psychiatrists and 0.07 psychologists per 100,000 population. Interview with a mental health advocate. Mental health advocate. The shortage of mental health professionals in India is a major challenge that limits people's access to treatment and perpetuates stigma and discrimination. It's important for the government to invest in mental health services and to promote awareness and understanding of mental health issues. Suicide is another major concern in India, with the country having one of the highest suicide rates in the world. In 2019, there were 381 suicides reported every day in India. Interview with a suicide prevention expert. Suicide prevention expert. Suicide is a complex issue that can have multiple causes, including mental illness, social isolation, and economic stress. It's important for society to take a holistic approach to suicide prevention, focusing on early intervention, support, and awareness. Stigma and discrimination surrounding mental illness is another major challenge in India, with many people facing social ostracism and discrimination if they seek help for mental health issues. Interview with a mental health activist. Mental health activist: stigma and discrimination can prevent people from seeking help for mental health issues, which can exacerbate their condition and lead to negative outcomes. It's important for society to promote understanding and acceptance of mental illness, and to provide safe and supportive spaces for people to seek help and support. We hope that this video has raised awareness about the importance of mental health and the challenges faced by people in India. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out for help and support. Remember, it's okay to not be okay, and seeking help is a sign of strength. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more informative content. See you in the next video.